Said it before, I'll say it again. Heavy sandbag carries are overpowered. They work, and they work fast. They're the path to balance. They find all those things that need fixing, those parts of the body lacking in strength, and bring them up, one by one, filling in the blanks. They're kinda terrible, there's no denying that. Heavy sandbag carries will test you, and there's a good chance that at least some small part of you will eventually come to hate them, but quick fixes don't come easy, and that's exactly what they are, a quick fix. The closest thing I've ever seen to a complete systemic total body revamp. Usable strength, muscle in many places with an emphasis on the back and core and arms, endurance and strength endurance, stronger bones, improved posture, stability like a wrestler, and a one-way ticket to confidence in the way you hold yourself. If you haven't spent some real time with sandbag carries, I'm sure it seems like I'm exaggerating here. I'm not. They really are just that good. In my opinion, the basic bear hug carry is the best variation there is. It's where I spend the majority of my time, and I'd recommend the same to anyone, but sometimes a bit of variety can be a good thing. That's the topic of today's video. 3 underutilized sandbag carry variations you can use to spice things up and to make sure those gains never stop. The first one is kind of funny, but it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. I was carrying a box down to the basement the other day, daydreaming about my next date with bear hug carries, when I realized, wait a second, bear hug carries are supposed to be functional and all that, to have real-world carryover. They do, by the way, but how dumb would it be to carry a box like that? If I'm carrying a box, if I'm not trying to show off by carrying it on my shoulder, it's gonna be at arm's length, down by my waist. Why would I ever waste energy trying to bear hug a box? With that in mind, the first carry variation is something I've been calling the sandbag box carry. You know, because it's like how you would carry a box. It's possible this already has a different name. I just couldn't find anything on it when I went looking. To do the box carry, first bring a sandbag to your lap in a vertical position, then it's time to get your hands in place. Note, when carrying an actual box, your arms would be in a completely neutral position, palms facing towards each other, but I recommend moving your hands forward just a bit, so each hand is facing towards the opposite hip. Left palm in line with the right hip, right palm in line with the left. You could imagine this as carrying an actual box with your hands on the front corners. This is for bicep safety. The closer you get to a pronated, palms facing towards the body position, the less risk there is. I figure that slightly pronated position is close enough to how you'd carry a box while making the exercise safer. Once your hands are in place, completely lock out your elbows, thinking chest high can help with that. After that, simply take a deep breath and brace, stand up, and start walking around. Special benefits of the box carry? Well, first, it should have some strength carryover to life outside the gym. That's kind of the whole point. It's a different stimulus for the upper back and traps compared to pretty much every other sandbag carry variation. Because the weight is held in your hands, you get a nice weighted stretch effect. The box carry can be a great way to train backwards lean in a somewhat comfortable way. If you look at the strongest sandbag and stone lifters, pretty much every single one of them seems to have mastered the ability to lean back at the hips. This makes sense. If your torso is completely upright, the weight will be out in front of you, increasing the challenge. But if you lean back a bit, the weight ends up more in line with your body, making things easier. Learning to do this will let you carry a sandbag for longer. It improves power when doing any kind of explosive lifting from the lap, and it will also help you to shoulder heavier weights. With time, you can train yourself to lean back pretty far, and I do believe it's safe to do so if you work up slowly. The box carry might act as a good introduction for anyone new to this, because with the weight held lower down on the body, less core strength is required to maintain that leaned back position. Keep in mind, if you try this, you'll want to lean at the hips. Don't try to arch your lower back. Cool variation, probably won't replace the bear hug carry anytime soon, but worth throwing in on occasion, I'd say. Carry variation number 2 is the over-under diagonal carry. I could probably think of a cooler name. This one is exactly as it sounds. You hold the sandbag diagonally against your chest with one arm over and one arm under. Let's start with a quick how-to. Begin by bringing a sandbag to your lap in a horizontal position. Once there are 2 distinct methods you can use to get it to chest height, the strength method and the power method. Starting with strength, move the sandbag slightly off center so one end hangs off to the side past one thigh. On that side, place your arm underneath like you would a Zercher. Take your other arm and drape it over top. Take a deep breath and brace, and lift the sandbag straight up. It most likely won't move to a diagonal position on its own when you use this method, so you'll need to do a quick bounce, using your legs to get some momentum going, while at the same time bringing the underhand arm side a bit higher and letting the overhand side drop down a bit. The power technique is what I've been calling the throw and catch, or the sandbag hang clean. I've made a few videos on it. It's an awesome exercise in its own right. I'll have one linked in the description if you want a more detailed explanation, but in short, with the sandbag resting horizontally on your lap, drape both arms over top, take a deep breath and brace, drive your hips back, storing up power, then extend your hips, throwing the sandbag up. As you do, rotate one side higher than the other, reach one arm underneath, and catch it. Once there, all you have to do is start walking. This carry does a few things very well. First, it's an off-center variation, so it trains your body to stay upright when being pulled to one side. This makes your core incredibly strong. I would make sure to do this on both sides to maintain balance, by the way. That off-center position also lights up the upper back in a pretty unique way. Most importantly for many of you watching, I'm sure, this variation also has carryover to the sandbag to shoulder if you use a horizontal lifting style. Say it usually takes you 3 heaves to move a sandbag from your lap to your shoulder. Well, you can think of each of those different positions along the way as a different skill that can be trained, a different exercise to be strengthened. Carrying a sandbag in those positions is one of the quickest ways to build that strength. When looked at in this way, you could use the over-under diagonal carry in as many different spots as you'd like. Try getting the sandbag to different off-center positions and spend some time strengthening each. This can be a great way to trick yourself into doing more carries. I know carries are hard and it's easy to skip them, but if you know doing them will directly improve your sandbag to shoulder strength, that can be just the kick you need. This is my personal favorite of the 3 variations today, and I believe it earns its place up there alongside the bear hug carry as one of the best. Before getting to the final variation, I have to give an honorable mention to the shoulder carry. A lot of people do it already, so I didn't think it belonged in a video about underutilized variations, but it's awesome, and I had to bring it up. The final variation for today is the horizontal high carry. I've got to be honest, I hate this exercise. It destroys me way faster than I think it has any right to, but like the front squat for a powerlifter, or any leg training at all for the average chest and arms obsessed gym bro, sometimes it's those things we dislike that have the most potential to make us stronger. The horizontal high carry is like that. I'll cover the benefits in a sec. First, let's go over how to do it. This one is pretty straightforward. Bring a sandbag to a horizontal position on your lap, squat down low, and move your chin as close to the sandbag as you can, trying to wedge your upper chest against it. Wrap your arms around the outsides, reaching until you can't reach around any further. Take a deep breath and brace. Lift the sandbag all the way up to your upper chest and start walking around. When you first try this, the reason why it's so effective will become clear straight away: the core. With the sandbag so high up, it's like the core strength needed to keep from folding in half is doubled when compared with something basic like a bear hug carry. This is huge. Push yourself to become strong in this position, and think about how much easier everything else will become. It also teaches balance and will give you a solid understanding of torso positioning. Because the weight is so high up, you can't really lean back as much as you typically could with something like a bear hug carry, unless you're using light weights. It's just too much. At least that's been my experience with it. It's like the opposite of the first variation today. Where the box carry makes leaning back at the hips easier, the horizontal high carry makes it much more challenging. Most people will probably end up trying to stay more or less upright with this one. The exercise is a great upper back and arm builder, if you can push it far enough. Holding a sandbag in this position forces your upper back to work in a different way than it usually does with sandbag carries. Rather than being completely rounded forward, depending on the length of the sandbag, your upper back might actually end up in a somewhat contracted position. That's something you can work with certain exercises, like at the top of a row or a high pull, or when loading onto a platform, but you don't usually get the chance to hang out there. This exercise is a good way to get some real time under tension. Because your hands won't be clasped together, and because you'll probably end up with more of an upright torso angle, sandbag out in front of you, the horizontal high carry also lights up the biceps like no other I've tried. Finally, this should also have some carryover to sandbag pressing, because the sandbag is almost in that front rack position, and the more comfortable you get there, the more stable you'll feel when going for the actual press. I believe this exercise has the potential to greatly improve general sandbag strength, and as much as I hate it, I think it's the perfect final addition to this list. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you plan on trying any of these out, or if you have any unique carry variations not mentioned today. If you're looking for a program that features sandbag carries as a main exercise, consider checking out the video I made covering sandbag intensity. And if you want something that goes a bit deeper, I've also written 2 books on sandbags. Links to everything in the description below. Good luck with your training, and I'll see you in the next one.